Welcome to the Hired Not Fired podcast, brought to you by The Real Me, the soft skills first talent solution that helps employers hire entry-level employees with better developed soft skills, such as communication, problem solving, or emotional intelligence. Join us as we sit down with hiring managers, talent leaders, and others and get insider tips to help Gen Z stand out and get hired. Let's dive in. Welcome to the new episode of Hired Not Fired. And I am delighted to welcome back Shannon Roche from Sevita, the leading human services agency in the country. Shannon is the university recruiter and internship program coordinator. Formerly working in social work for 8 years herself, Shannon is super passionate about hiring for entry-level healthcare and human services positions. Shannon, welcome back.
Thank you, Deb. Happy to be back.
In our last conversation, you brought up so many interesting things that I wanted to ask more about. And I know you mentioned that you have about 60 interns this cohort, and you're hoping to grow the program. I wanted to ask approximately how many of those interns get full-time offers afterwards? Is it a major pipeline for Sevita?
Interns are a major pipeline for us, yes. And that's a point of why we want to continue the program and to grow us more so we have more of a pipeline. Because we're across so many states, I don't have each state specific conversion number off my head. But I know, for example, for Pennsylvania this past year, it was 77%.
Wow.
And I love that number. Yes, I was
That's
very
great.
proud. In one of our offices specifically, it was 100. And I
Really?
joke, yes, I joke with that clinical director. Her name is Marissa. I don't know what fairy dust you are sprinkling in the office, but you're doing something right. And it just really comes down to she's awesome. And she also hires really awesome supervisors below her to care for our interns. So very proud of our conversion, for sure.
Well, that's great. You know, students hearing this know that if they do get an internship at Sevita, then, that's a really good thing. First of all,
100%.
there's a great chance of getting the offer, but also they'll learn a lot about career and getting a job. I'd like to ask, do you get a lot of applications for each internship position? Like, how competitive is it?
I would say it's dependent on the role. So I did just have a role in Ohio in the Cleveland area, for example, so a bigger city, a master's level role. I had 31 applications in 2 weeks, which is pretty large for, just starting for next year.
Yeah, for how
Pretty
many
significant.
positions?
This was just 2 positions.
Wow.
2
Okay.
positions. Yes.
Yeah.
And then other areas, if they're more rural areas, remote, definitely a little bit smaller of an applicant pool. So depending on the degree and the location, it can vary to a couple a week to that kind of 30, 40 mark where I'm screening a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about that screening, because we know one of the issues with entry-level candidates is that they really don't have much to put on a resume, right?
Yes.
They don't have the hard skills, the long experience, history. So how do you choose who to bring in for an interview?
Yes. Well, first step for my role, all of our internships have minimum qualifications. So I always look for that, right? So the first one is you have to be in college. You have to be in your bachelor's, master's. We've had some doctorate students as
Really?
well. Yes, yeah, I've been very proud of that. And 2 is that you need the position, you're going to be using it for credit. Whether it's credit for a class, you need it for graduation. Like I mentioned, Masters of Social Work or counseling. You need it for graduation, then licensure.
For undergrads as well, they need to get credit
Yep.
for it.
Exactly. Some BSWs in Ohio. And then preferably, you're part of a partner school. Not needed, but I like seeing that, in that you have that experience. And I'm happy you asked that question, Deb, because I look for those minimum qualifications off the bat. And there's times I get resumes where it's not clear, right? Maybe their education is on the bottom or they're leaving out that volunteer experience I mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So piece of advice I always give with resumes and in my resume workshops is make the minimum qualifications clear off the bat. Move the education to the top if you're seeing that's necessary. Volunteer experience. Maybe change your professional experience bit Now change it to experience and put the volunteer within that. So I can see that 1 to 2 years now. Because like I said, some of my roles are they're not high volume, but you may be applying to internships or post-grad entry-level roles where, we've all seen on LinkedIn, 100 applicants, 500 applicants,
Yes.
etc. And those recruiters, honestly, they're going to be looking for minimum qualifications right away. And if they don't see that, they're going to move on. So just right away, I look for the minimum qualifications. If they have that, look a little deeper, set up a screening to get a feel of the individual soft skills. And if I want to send them over to the supervisor.
All right, you said my favorite magic word, soft skills.
Soft
Tell us a
skills,
little
yeah.
bit. What are some of the soft skills that you look for?
Honestly, for this field, that just being personable, having good communication, and a sense of humor, right? I love when just starting off, when I get on a screening call with someone, I say, "Hey, how are you?" And they say, "Good, how are you?" versus "I'm good." Or, I kind of get that a lot. Or, they tell me like how their week has been. We're able to have a conversation and it flows. And I know we talked about this previously. I try not to judge when young individuals are missing certain soft skills. Generation Z, especially, grew up on the internet with COVID, so that emotional intelligence isn't there yet. I don't judge, but for this field specifically, when you're going to be working with kids and families and people in tough positions, I'm definitely looking for that personableness, able to communicate, talkative, and just have a good sense of humor.
So you reminded me of a story that I heard recently about someone who was very qualified and got this wonderful position in a fancy firm. It was something that was really competitive. He got it, and he showed up the first day dressed in casual clothes. He did not read the room. He never asked what the dress code was. And they took one look at him and they said, "See you later." And it's a sad story, but it happens a lot. But if the kids don't know to ask what's the dress code before they go, then they don't know. What advice or what do we do about this generation of students who it's not that they don't want to have the skills, they just don't know what they don't know. What can we do in that situation?
Yes. Honestly, I put that back on the company more than these individual entry level young individuals. Like you said, this story, right? That is a case where, of course, that student or this young individual should have asked dress code. I get that question a lot. I'm very grateful. We always like to bring up dress code in our screenings. But there's going to be times that doesn't happen. And I think of that story, and I want companies to know that if you do the math out, I promise you it's likely to cost more to fire someone, recruit someone, train them up than simply train this employee. And I'm super passionate about this. So I might go on a rant, but I get very frustrated with how we villainize this generation because they're missing these skills. When again, the social experiment of the internet, right? In 2 years of COVID, losing that emotional intelligence. So I mentioned the resume workshop and the interview skills. One of my coworkers, Pam, led an awesome soft skills workshop last year. One of our offices in Minnesota, all of their employees have the option to take an emotional intelligence workshop. And I literally just emailed the program supervisor today. What if you have time, I'm going to make you come in and offer that to all of our interns. I think there's this belief that soft skills cannot be taught, that emotional intelligence cannot be taught. And I do think some of it comes with time. But I also think us as companies, as recruiters, as supervisors, need to recognize if there's deficits. It's not about firing, it's about training up this whole generation.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what we do at The Real Me. We upskill
Yes.
employee soft skills. So I think it is amazing that you do that for your interns, and they're really lucky to get that opportunity. Thank you, Shannon. This has been wonderful, and I really appreciate you coming back and sharing some of these insider tips with us.
Yes, I was happy to. Anytime, I'm happy to chat about resumes, interviews, and support our younger generation.
Thank you.